How safe is your bank? How safe is your broker, your insurance, or your 401k? Dr. Martin D. Weiss and Mike Larson of Weiss Research have just completed an urgent webcast, a public service for investors and savers to give you the answers you so desperately and urgently need. In this free 1-hour video, they will provide you with frank, honest, unhedged answers you need to get yourself and your family through the most devastating financial crisis since the Great Depression with your money completely intact. The following is an excerpt from the program on your safety in this unprecedented crisis.
Here's another question. I checked the latest yield on Treasury bills, and it's barely enough for a diet of stale bread and water. I need income. How can I get that with Treasury bills?
Well, we believe your Treasury bill yields will go up. And by staying short term, you'll be able to roll over into the higher yielding T-bills as they become available. Plus, the Weiss companies have special investment solutions to grow your wealth in this crisis. But that's not what we're here for today. Today, our goal is to make sure you get to safety. And for the money you want to keep safe, do not expect high yield.
Martin, if you don't mind, I wanted to add here a message for everyone. Cash, and especially the safe liquid cash that we've been recommending, is very valuable right now. If the price you have to pay for that cash is less yield or even no yield, it's worth every single penny of it. And if we're right about deflation, your cash is going to buy more, not less. Cash will be king. And with the cash that you save and protect now, you're going to be able to pick up some amazing bargains in real estate, in stocks, really almost every asset out there.
Here's another question from one of our viewers. In your reports, you've recommended 2 ways to buy U.S. Treasury bills, via the Treasury Department or a money market fund that buys exclusively short-term Treasury securities or equivalent. Which do you think is better?
Okay. Well, I personally prefer the money market fund for a number of reasons. No matter who actually holds the Treasuries, they still enjoy the same guarantee from the Treasury. Also, with the Treasury-only money fund, you have immediate access to your money all the time. You can have it wired to your bank account, or better, you can just whip out a checkbook that the money fund provides, and you can write a check against it.
Hi, this is Stan. I also work in the Weiss customer service area. Here's one that we get all the time from our subscribers.
Okay.
My banker has tried to talk me out of money market funds. He says money market funds can lose money and that money funds aren't insured. But my account at the bank is insured, and now, to sweeten the deal, the FDIC has raised the insurance limit up to $250,000.
Well, you know, he may be right about some ordinary money market funds, but he's wrong about Treasury-only money market funds. Look, you only need insurance to protect against the risk when there is a risk to protect against. But short-term Treasury securities are the highest quality investments in the world. They're stronger than any insurance company. So in my view, buying insurance for Treasuries is silly. That's my impression. Mike, help me set the record straight here.
Sure.
Who backstops the FDIC if the FDIC runs out of money to pay off insured depositors?
Sure. It's the U.S. Treasury. I mean, the Treasury has committed, it promised, to provide as much funding as the FDIC needs.
Okay, so let's say I've got a Treasury bill here, right here, or I've got a Treasury-only money fund, and let's say you have a CD in a weak bank.
Hey, wait, are you sure you don't want to change hands here?
No, I'm sure. I have the T-bill, you have the CD.
All right.
What have you got in terms of a guarantee? Show me your guarantee.
I've got FDIC coverage. It's up to $250,000, and that coverage is backed by the Treasury.
Exactly. You have an indirect guarantee from the Treasury with a sick banking industry in between, and now, plus your guarantee is capped at $250,000. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And so let me ask you this. What do you have with your T-bill?
Aha, I have a direct guarantee from the Treasury Department without any cap. I could have $1,000 in T-bills. I could have $1 million or $10 million in T-bills. There's no limit whatsoever to my guarantee. My Treasury securities are all 100% guaranteed by the Treasury Department.
I want to be in your seat.
I have a second question from Bernard. He says, do you think I can get through this crisis safely without resorting to moving my money to another country?
Well, we recommend investing in foreign currencies at the appropriate time, and there's nothing wrong with having accounts overseas if that's convenient for you. But, you know, I've lived overseas for many years, in safe places and not so safe places, and I can tell you flatly, there's no compelling reason to rush overseas. This is a global crisis, not just a U.S. crisis. And at this juncture, I think it's just as easy to find a safe and quiet place for your money and for your home right here in the United States as it is overseas.
I have another question. This is from one of our subscribers, Minna.
Mm-hmm.
She's asking, are you familiar with the Swiss annuities? The ones I'm looking at were designed for wealth preservation during a global depression, using the safest banks and insurers in the world.
Well, Minna, we don't have ratings on Swiss insurers, but as a rule, Swiss annuities are solid. The question is, how liquid are they? What kind of penalties will you pay for early cancellation? If you're not comfortable with those penalties, stick with short-term U.S. Treasuries.
How can the average person who now is so electronically tied to everything even come close to keeping their money safe? He wants to know, how can we prevent getting electronically turned off or locked out of any of our accounts of whatever type?
You know, I disagree with the notion that financial breakdowns are somehow correlated to computer breakdowns. In fact, I personally think that the Internet and the electronic systems that we have are actually one of the great strengths of our economy. Remember, we had a massive nationwide upgrade less than 10 years ago in preparation for Y2K.
That's right, and I think the worst that you might see in a panic sell-off is a traffic bottleneck on the Internet. I mean, but if you're trying to sell and you can't get through because of the traffic or a temporary system crash on your broker site, that's probably not a good time to be selling anyway. You want to wait until the market settles down, or better yet, wait for a rally in the market, then sell. I mean, I don't care how bad things get. Even in a crash, no market's ever going to go straight down. You're going to have intraday rallies. You may even have month-long rallies, and some of those could be pretty dramatic. That's when you should be doing your selling, not when everybody else is in a panic.
And most people are going to think that's the bottom, but it may not be the final bottom. That's the key. You don't know where the bottom is, and in this environment, you really have to err on the side of caution, safety, and liquidity.
Yes.
So I agree with that. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mark.
You have been viewing some segments for the Weiss Research Emergency Question and Answer session. To view the entire program right now on your computer, just go to the website on your screen. That's moneyandmarkets.com/TV.